No, I look back and I just feel like I let people down. And not happy with that, and it hurts. Naive to it. I didn't play my best this year, but I'm gonna respond.
Hey everybody, how's it going on this beautiful Thursday? Hope you're having a fantastic day. I want to bring up the question for you today on should the Texans think about moving on from CJ Stroud. Now, it's no secret that in the 3 years that Stroud has been the starting quarterback for the Texans after getting drafted out of Ohio State University, he hasn't been a bad quarterback. But unlike quarterbacks like Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix that seem to be getting better every single year in the NFL, it seems kind of like CJ Stroud is getting a little bit worse every single year.
Oh no, oh no. He never looked comfortable the whole play. Just throw it away. He had lots of time, Eli. Nobody was open. Just run it or throw it away.
It seems a little bit like instead of improving every single year, CJ Stroud has regressed a bit every single year in the NFL.
Oh no, CJ Stroud is not an impediment to the Houston Texans getting to where they want to go.
He is if he continues to play the way he looked last night.
This season to start the year, it looked like the Texans were eliminated from the playoffs about week 7. It looked like they weren't even going to make it to the playoffs. Then CJ Stroud gets injured. Davis Mills ends up coming in. They end up winning that game, and they end up going on a bit of a winning streak with Mills, who ends up overall looking better as the quarterback for the Texans than CJ Stroud was looking the few weeks prior. Then CJ comes back in. They end up winning their way into the playoffs, winning the wild card round, losing the divisional round. But I have to ask the question, how much of that was the defense and how much of that was CJ Stroud? Because even in the wins, it looked like CJ kind of looked a little bit lost out there this season, and there were plenty of wins that the Texans had this year where CJ still looked pretty bad. I feel like with Davis Mills, the Texans would have actually beaten the Patriots last week.
CJ Stroud has been terrible this season, and to give you an idea of how terrible, you could just look at his recent game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Take a look at this play. While targeting Christian Kirk, CJ Stroud threw one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. The man is literally eyeing down Christian Kirk in the flat because he knows the man that was supposed to be guarding Christian Kirk and man would be blitzing him. Instead, he stares down Christian Kirk and throws an interception.
You can't tell me that you throw 4 interceptions and you still only lose by 2 possessions. In a normal game, that just doesn't happen. CJ Stroud looked absolutely terrible against the Patriots. He was getting pressured all day, to be fair to him, at least a little bit. But he threw 4 really bad looking interceptions. I think at least 3 of them were fully his fault. There was the one that was a little bit high that bounced off the receiver's hands. That one wasn't necessarily fully his fault, but that ball still should be a little bit lower. Help your guy out there. CJ also threw a ball so badly behind one of his tight ends that he got the tight end injured while he was going back to try to make a grab. Tore that guy's knee all to hell because his throw was so far off.
To say CJ Stroud had a tough game today is definitely an understatement, but one of the more concerning looking moments was when this pass thrown behind his tight end Cade Stover resulted in Stover having this awkward knee buckling injury.
And he just looked like he was a depressed, kicked puppy on the sidelines the whole game. Now, it's no secret that for a quarterback coming into the NFL, he's had some success. He has won every single game in the wild card round, going 3-0 in his first 3 seasons in the NFL. But it's also no secret that he has now lost every single divisional round game that he has played. And we're going to run through all those stats in just a split second. The worst performance of his entire career was the game against the Patriots this last week. CJ Stroud in that game went 20 of 47. That's less than 50% for those of you who are like me and are horrible at math on his completion percentage. 212 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. After all of that, he was only sacked 3 times even though he was pressured plenty. And he had a quarterback rating of 28. A QBR of 28.
You're fired.
Oh no! We suck again!
To have a 28 passer rating in a divisional round playoff game is absolutely unheard of, and we may not see that again for a long time. Oh, and let's definitely not forget the time that he tried to pep talk Caleb Williams after their first performance against each other.
Learn from those mistakes, and everything that you got, bro, is in you already, bro. You're gonna be a hell of a player in this league.
That just totally screams egomaniac in my opinion. Like, how good does this guy actually think he is? Because in my opinion, I think Caleb Williams in his 3rd season now is a better quarterback than CJ Stroud. And I think that he proved it in the playoffs this year, even though they both got bounced in the divisional round. And I always thought there was a little bit of annoyance in Caleb's face when he told him that. And Caleb has overcome a ton of critics, including myself, who didn't think he was going to amount to much in the NFL. And now he's looking really good, actually. It looks like CJ Stroud should be taking his own advice. And I honestly could say right now at this exact moment, I'd rather have Caleb Williams than CJ Stroud as my quarterback. Maybe the Manning brothers could teach CJ something because he was driving them crazy during that Steelers game.
Every batted ball was a guaranteed interception for the guy behind me. Guaranteed. They tell me every time.
What is going on?
Do it, Eli. That's his second fumbled snap. He dropped the snap. He's looking at the defense. Remember last week we talked about under center. You don't have to look at the snap. You can look at the defense. In the shotgun, you got to look at the snap. His eyes are on the defense, JJ, as the snap is coming. So he drops the snap, then picks it up, and then fumbles it. The play started out bad. It got worse. As Bruce Arians used to say, don't turn chicken salad into chicken you know what, right?
But it is no secret, and my next big point about CJ Stroud and why the Texans might want to move on from him is it's no secret that he's a much different regular season quarterback than a playoff quarterback. CJ's played in a total of 6 playoff games. He has a 3-3 record. We just talked about it. He's 3-0 in the wild card. He's 0-3 in the divisional round. But in the last 5 out of the 6 playoff games, let's take a look at his horrible stats. Versus the Ravens, he went 19 of 33 for 175 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. Still not enough to get it done, and the Ravens beat him. Then in the win against the Chargers last season, he had a pretty decent game in that one. 23 of 33 for 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 fumble. They then got bounced by the Chiefs in the divisional round. He went 19 of 28 for 245 yards. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 fumble. This year's playoffs are by far the worst stats that I've seen from a quarterback in a long time, in the playoffs at least. Notice how I said that he's getting worse year over year. Versus the Steelers in the wild card round, he went 21 of 32 for 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he fumbled the football 5 times. Then follow that up against the Patriots, 20 of 47 for 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, 0 fumbles. The only reason they made it to that Patriots game is because of the strength of that #1 NFL defense. So by the way, when you have a defense that is as good as the Texans defense was this year, all you need is a quarterback to play average. It's why backup quarterbacks in the past have been able to come in and fill in for the starter when they got injured on teams with really good defenses and still find great success. We're talking about guys like Brock Osweiler. We're talking about guys who came in like Drew Stanton, who came in for the Cardinals after Carson Palmer got hurt in back-to-back years and still won them games and high leverage games in the playoffs. We're talking about guys like Nick Foles, though Nick Foles did ball out. I will say in 2017, Nick Foles balled out. Guys who were able to come in and fill in for the starter when they got hurt because the defense and the team around them were so solid that it didn't matter as long as you played average. With a defense like this Texans defense was this year, you really just needed the quarterback to play average and you were going to win the Super Bowl. And CJ Stroud played one of the most terrible games I've ever seen on Sunday, and he didn't look much better in the win against the Steelers. In the regular season this year, Stroud had a completion percentage of 64.5%. In the postseason, it was only 51.9%. He threw for 3,041 yards this season and then 462 in the 2 playoff games. He threw for 19 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in the regular season. That's still not that great. And then in the playoffs, he completely fell off, threw for 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and I will argue that the touchdown throw to Christian Kirk in the Pats game was behind him, and that was more on Kirk making a great catch. Even a guy like Kurt Warner does agree with me that CJ has regressed since his rookie season.
You know, we talked about it a little bit in the game we did a couple weeks ago, just, the pressure situations and just seeming to not really be aware of what's going on and what's around him. How many times he made a bad play worse in that Pittsburgh game where flea flicker and all of a sudden there's bodies around him and he decides to try to throw a 50-yard pass with bodies around him and obviously he gets hit. Or the interception on the naked bootleg this past week where there was a guy right in his, it was like he was oblivious to how close that guy was to him as he turned and tried to, flip his hips and make a throw while the guy's hitting him and the ball goes up in the air and it becomes a pick six. And so those were the things that really left me shaking my head a lot with CJ this year, is just the times that he just didn't seem aware of certain things going on around him. In the last 2 years, I feel like he's really regressed.
What are your thoughts and opinions on CJ Stroud? Should the Texans move on from him? Would definitely love to hear it if you are a Texans fan as well. Is he the thing that is in the way of them winning a Super Bowl? Thank you so much for watching today's video. We'll see you very soon with the next video. Until then, all I have left to say is have a fantastic day. Subscribe to join the Askew crew. It's totally free, and bye-bye.